You know, regular verbs in the English language are probably the easiest thing you have to deal with when it comes to grammar. But are you pronouncing them correctly using the past tense? If you're not sure, today is a lesson you don't want to miss. Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Finn here today, trying to help you when it comes to pronouncing the regular verbs in the past tense. Now, you may think to yourself, well, Mr. Finn, it's really easy. Is it? Well, it is, but are you sure you're pronouncing it correctly? Now, today's lesson, I'm going to focus on pronunciation, and as you could probably see, I'm not in the woods, I'm not on a roof. In fact, I'm in my living room today because I figured the best lesson I can give you is one that I've already done in some of my classes. So I'm going to be using a lesson that I've made and has given me success. Before we get in this lesson, you're probably asking yourself, what makes a regular verb regular? Why do we call regular verbs regular? Well, it's pretty simple. What makes a regular verb regular is it doesn't change its form when it's changed from the past or the past participle. All it's done is you're adding a D, an ED, or sometimes an IED. All right? So an example, you add the D when the verb itself already has an E. If the verb doesn't have an E, it's necessary to put the ED. And if the verb ends in a Y, you need to substitute that Y with an IED. But if you see there, play, the Y stays, and you're probably asking yourself, Mr. Finn, why is the Y there? You just got done saying you substitute the Y for an I. That's true, but pay attention to the differences between play and studied and play and tried. You see, with play, we have a vowel before the Y, and when that happens, the Y stays, okay? Now, this is how we start. This is what makes a regular verb regular. There's no change involved. You're just adding the D or ED used when you're using it in the past tense. All right. So let's go forward. Now, before we get started here, we need to pay attention to something very important because this is going to be crucial in understanding the right pronunciation we need to use. So you need to pay attention to the sound or the phonetics of the base verb, right? You basically need to know the pronunciation. Now, when I say the base verb, what do I mean? I'm saying that this is the verb that you're starting with. It's the verb without the to. Okay? It's that verb that I showed you in the previous slide before you add the D or ED. It's crucial to understand, or it's crucial to have the correct pronunciation of the word itself, to have the correct pronunciation when you conjugate it. All right? Well, let's keep going here. So, how do we begin? There isn't just one sound. And the reason why I say this is because my experience teaching Brazilians, they pronounce it, not all of course, but the majority of them pronounce it the same way. Because we have an ED add to the words, they pronounce it as id. So we have like walk it and talk it and dance it. But this is incorrect. There isn't just one sound. Can anybody think how many sounds there are? If you said 3, you're correct. We have the t, d, and id. All right? Now, what are you going to do here? You're probably asking yourself, well, Mr. Finn, how do I know which sound to use? This is what I'm going to get into today. First of all, you need to determine the ending of the verb. So remember what I had talked to you before about understanding the pronunciation of the base verb? So you need to know how the sound ends, how the sound of the verb ends, okay? Does it end with a voice or voiceless? So what's the difference? Well, look at the graph that I have here. All right, remember, let's start with the 2 sounds out of the 3, the t and the d. So to make both of these sounds, the mechanics of creating the sound are the same. You put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your teeth and you push air. If you're only pushing air, you're creating the t sound. Why don't you try it with me? T, t. Great. Now, let's do the same thing, but instead of pushing air, make sounds from your throat. And if you want, put your 2 fingers right here at the base of your throat and do it. D, d. No voice. T, voice. D, t, d. You see? Great. So now we've determined voiceless, t, t, and voiced, d. This is going to be key. Okay? Now, remember, there are 3 sounds, the t, d, and id. So this lesson I have here, I've broken it down into 3 specific rules. It's going to have 1 rule for 1 sound. All right? Each sound is going to have their own rule. So let's begin with rule number 1, the t. If the base of verb, if it ends with a voiceless sound, then the D or the ED is going to be voiceless. And what is voiceless? That's right. It's the T. And what's really important when you make this T sound, it's blended together with the verb. It is not going to be an extra syllable. Okay? The voiceless is like a whisper. Okay? So as we looked in the graph before, it's just air passing through your throat and your mouth. And these are the consonants that are voiceless. Now, like I said, when you pronounce them, they're voiceless. Not if you say them, like P is not voiceless, but the sound P or F or K, S, Sh, Ch, F. All of those there, all 7 of those consonants are voiceless. All right? If your verbs end with one of those sounds, like walk, work, or drop, finish, divorce, stop, laugh, cough, and watch. You notice how each one of those words ends with the voiceless consonant? So when we add the ED to these words, it's going to be a T sound. So work becomes worked, stop becomes stopped, drop becomes dropped, laugh, laughed, cough, cough, finish, finished, watch, watched, and divorce, divorced. Easy, right? Makes sense, yeah? Great. That's rule number 1. Now, rule number 2 is going to be the D. And have you guessed it? It's the same as the T. If the base of the verb ends with a voice sound, when you add the ED, it's going to have a D, right? D. And just like the T, this D is going to be added to the word. It will not be an extra syllable, okay? A voice sound means that the vocal cords vibrate. And these consonants are the ones that give you a voice sound, like B, V, G, Z, J, Z, L, Right? Good. And don't forget, all vowel sounds are constant, all vowels are voiced. All vowels are voiced. All right? A, E, I, O, U. So, if any verb, any regular verb ends with a voice sound like this, you got to add the D sound. Okay? So let's look at some examples. We have move. We have return. We have stay, study, marry, widow, raise, engage, travel, and bathe. And as you see, each one of those ends with a voice sound, and a couple of them have a vowel sound like stay, study, marry, widow. Are we okay? Good. So, how is it going to sound when we add the D or ED? Well, moved, widowed, returned, raised, studied, traveled, married, bathed. You get the idea. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to. The voiceless and the voiced here, representing with the T and the D, they mirror each other, just like the T and the D mirror each other. So the same mechanism that you do the P, you do the B. The same mechanism you do the F, you do the V. the k, the g, s, and the z. Those ones mirror each other. The rest are independent. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2. Let's check out rule number 3. So you're going to be like, Mr. Finn, we did the t and we did the d. So when am I going to use the id? Very good question. If the base verb already ends with a t or a d, now you add the id. And the reason why it's id, because we need that I sound to separate the base and the sound of the past tense. And that gives us an extra syllable. So as the t and the d, so as rule number 1, rule number 2, there's no extra syllable. Rule number 3, you have an extra syllable, right? So, see these examples here? All of these, the verb itself ends with a T or ends with a D. Start, point, graduate, blend, pound, visit, separate, attend, mandate. You see? Add the ED, what do we have? Start did, point did, graduate did, blend did, pound did, attend did, separate did, man did, right? Guys, that's basically it. That's how it works. So to finish this up, let's look at some example sentences and use these words together. I married a woman who I didn't know was crazy, so the marriage ended and now I'm divorced. We have 3 examples in this sentence. I married a woman who I didn't know was crazy, so the marriage ended and now I'm divorced. See that? How about the next one? Last Saturday, I worked all day and played all night. So I worked all day and played all night. Let's do one more. My classmates laughed at me because I studied so much, but in the end, I graduated and they did not. We have 3 again. My classmates laughed at me because I studied so much, but in the end, I graduated and they didn't. Okay, guys? So I hope that made sense to you. I hope I wasn't too confusing. Okay, I tried to get this wrapped up in a really quick video and with some good clues that can help you when it comes to pronouncing these verbs in the past tense. All right? So that's it. Don't forget, we have 3 sounds, the soft, the voiceless, the voiced, and then the id, right? If you're having difficulties with it, don't stress. Try your best. The context is going to help you communicate what you want to say. What I'm doing here is just giving you some help that you can understand what's the right pronunciation and know how to do it. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is by getting out there and practice, all right? So, I'm doing my best to make you better, all right? Don't forget to get out there and practice your English. I am Mr. Finn, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bam!